And he was just like, you know how Coach be, hey, what's up, stud? How you doing, stud?
Wait, pause for a second. Bro, we wait for that comment every single time. When we ask the recruiting question, me and Mitch know it's already like, what's up, stud? Hey bud.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing great, bud.
Yeah.
Whenever you think about the game, like, you get giddy. Like, it's like, I don't know what it is. Like you said, it gets your blood pumping. You're just like, I just want to smack them. Like, I literally just want to run their 50 ball. I want them to quit at halftime. Like, it is something that's so special. And I know Coach Self does a fantastic job about it, too. Jay Billis said it best. I don't know. He did the little TikTok thing. He does it once a year, like the top 5 arenas. He was talking about Cameron Indoor and Allen Fieldhouse. He was like, you go sit in there, and like it's like almost seeing ghosts. Like you just feel it. Like I don't know what it is about it. You go sit there, regardless if there's one person in there or 16,000. Like you sit there and you just like feel something.
The PG's good, but I love practicing at Allen. Like that's by far. Like if we can practice at Allen every day.
You know game day's coming whenever you're practicing at Allen. Like that's the coolest part.
Dad used to tell me all the time. Son, don't worry about the mules, just load the wagon.
What's up, everybody? If you are a college football fan like me, if you know a college football fan that's in your life, you need to go cop this shirt. New designs dropping all the time. It's the perfect gift with the holiday season coming around. If you don't have this thing, you're missing out. Great material, great fabric. I wear it all the time. Go get yours today.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rock Chalk Unplugged. This week, special guest for the start of Big 12 play, the one and only Elmarko Jackson. Welcome on to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Chris.
So, hey, Elmarko, let's just jump right into it. You're obviously progressing a ton over this year, and we're really excited to watch you going into Big 12 play. But let's start at the base. So we're going to talk a little bit about your recruiting. So who from Kansas recruited you, and what kind of separated Kansas from the other schools like Texas, UCLA, and Villanova?
From Kansas, I was getting recruited by Coach Rob, and I feel like the thing that like separated Kansas from all these other schools was just like the tradition that Kansas had. And on my visit, like I saw just how close the team was and how like tight knit everybody was. And, you know, I feel like that's really important to me, you know, just having like a group of guys that off the court, you know, you could really just chill with and have like a cool, genuine connection, just kick it with on some cool stuff every day. So that was really cool for me. Like I had CB had came back for my visit, and I feel like that was big. Like I didn't really have at no other school like a former player come back and chill, like kick it with a recruit. So I thought that was pretty cool for sure.
And CB definitely showed you a good time in Lawrence. I mean, we've always been hung around CB. That's one of the best Kansas characters. I mean, outside of being a player, one of the best Kansas characters. He loves the tradition and everything. So I'm sure he put in a good word. And I'm sure that night was a good one.
Yeah, we was in the hyena.
Elmarko, speaking of recruiting, I wanted to ask you, like, this is a very popular conversation these days. How much does NIL play a role in recruiting? Obviously, it was around for Chris and I's last year, but you being a recruit during NIL, how much did that play a part of it?
To me, it didn't really play a part, like, for real, because, I mean, all the schools that I was looking at had, significant money, as in, like, NIL-wise, so to me, it was really just playing opportunity and, you know, like, a team that'll help me get better. And you just look at the track record of KU. You know, they've developed their players and they win consistently. They get to March every year. So I feel like for me, that was pretty much just like a no-brainer.
So you're from the Northeast, though. So you're obviously not from the Midwest. Big 12 basketball, Kansas basketball is not big up there. Did you ever watch Kansas basketball as a kid?
Not really, but like since I'm from like right outside of Philly, I watch like Joel Embiid's like KU highlights, stuff like that. So that was like the closest thing I had to KU basketball. And when Frank Mason was at KU, he was popping off, and I watched some of his stuff.
Is that somebody you would say you kind of try to model your game after, Frank?
I say more of like Devontae Graham. I like his game a lot, and yeah.
How much does going to a place where they develop their players like mean to you? Like obviously, if they've had guys like Frank Mason, Devontae Graham, Ochai, Christian. Like those weren't super highly touted, but they developed and they became NBA draft picks.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me because I didn't want to come to a place where I'll just remain the same player and get better at things that I'm already good at. I like to become more of like a well-rounded player and, just go into, coach like Coach Self, who just knows all the X's and O's of the game. And just like the whole staff just helps every day, when it comes to like film or shooting and stuff like that. Every day is just an opportunity to get better for sure.
And so Kansas has done a better job at kind of developing players for the last couple of years and having coaches dedicated to that. Brady Morningstar and Coach Case, they're two dudes that really take a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure that they're producing better scoring options that kind of translate into the NBA. So what is the impact that they've had on you just in your short time at Kansas already?
Really good. Just telling me, different options that I have coming off the screen a lot. Because last year I really didn't use like the screen or pinch post options like that. So, just getting the reps in of doing that so it could help translate to practice, which, builds just, confidence for in-game was major for me. And they helped a lot over the summer. And just helping my shooting, perfecting my my form. So it's just consistent every time.
And like I think about it, like even when I played in high school, you don't have to follow a game plan. I mean, you were a 5-star recruit. I mean, you could just go out there and be like, hey, come up here, get in the way of the dude. I'm just going to run to the basket. Let someone try to compete with me. When did you realize, like kind of early in summer? Because I knew as soon as I stepped on campus, I wasn't on the level of most of these dudes. But like, when did you realize, like, all right, hey, yeah, like I'm going to have to learn how to sit there, snake off of ball screens. I'm going to sit here and learn how they're playing kind of off of these screens, how they're hedging it, how they're playing on the backside. How long did that take you to be like, okay, yeah, I need to start learning, expanding my game and learning to play it inside of an offense?
I'll probably say like the third day we was hooping. I was coming off a ball screen and I mean, it's like a accumulation of 3 days. So like I would come off a ball screen and I'd have like Juan guarding me. It was Juan who would get me every time. I come off the ball screen and then he'll just back tap me every single time. Like I've never been back tapped this many times. Like I'm just like, damn, like I'm gonna have to snake it. Like I'm gonna just get out my hands quicker, just like shield it better or something. So I'd probably say that for sure because like I wasn't really used to that.
Last thing in respect to recruiting, we wanted to ask, what was your Coach Self moment in recruiting? Like, what was the first time you talked to him? What was your relationship like with him?
First time I talked to him, I think it was like a little bit after I got offered, and he was just like, how Coach be, hey, what's up, stud? How you doing, stud?
Wait, pause for a second. Bro, we wait for that comment every single time. When we ask the recruiting question, me and Mitch know it's already like, what's up, stud? Hey bud.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing great, bud.
Yeah. He like, hey, stud, I just wanna let you know how excited we are to recruit you, and we love your game, and can't wait to get you out to Kansas and experience everything, stud. So, yeah.
And then as soon as you sign on the dotted line and you show up to campus, you still like that. But when you get on the court, it's like, whoa, coach. Like, I didn't realize you were this intense. Like,
yeah. He when we moved in, we had like a little move-in like lunch. Because we had all got there, and he's pretty much he told us straight up, he was like, I'm happy for all you guys to get here. He was like, all that fake shit is over. I'm the bad guy. Yeah, so.
Which is like what you need as a young freshman. Like that's what he did with us. Like he sat us down and was like, hey, listen, like I got you in the door. Now it's time for me to make you better. And like you can't do that by being soft and being everybody's best friend 24/7.
No doubt, yeah. And I feel like, you see it. Like, I feel like the freshman class that we've had, like me and Jamari and Johnny, like we've gotten so much better since, like we've gotten here because he just like hits a nerve that like, most coaches can't really hit, and that just turns you up to a different level. For real.
Yeah, I think the thing that everybody, even around Kansas basketball, sees right now is that we need you guys to be good to be good. How much does that weigh on you and the other freshmen? Like, I know you guys are a close group, but like, how much does the pressure weigh on you guys?
Appreciate it, Mitch and Chris. Before we get back to Rock Chalk, I got to tell you guys about the best way to make money on sports. I've been in search of the best way to fire on sports for the last year or so. I've tried every sports book, all the different apps, but Prize Picks is the best way to make money on sports. On Prize Picks, you pick players and not teams. Each player has a set total stat projection. So let's say Patrick Mahomes has a higher or lower than 220 passing yards. If you think he's going to have more, you just click on more. When it hits, you make a bunch of money. I just hit a 4-player pick'em last night, 10x in my money, $100 to win 1,000. And the best part is you can go to prizepicks.com/rockchalk and use the code ROCKCHALK for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/rockchalk. Use the promo code ROCKCHALK for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Who knows what you can turn that $100 into? I turned mine into 1,000 last night. Let me know what you do in the comments.
Yeah, it doesn't really weigh on us that much, because we used to kind of just like put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And that was from just like a lack of communication, a lack of like holding each other accountable, or just getting in work and, making the right play, because we just have to be more consistent in doing it. So I feel like, the pressure definitely lacked off a little bit once we started really buying into the culture and what the coaches was asking of us and things like that.
Okay, so we already talked about your first meeting with Coach Self right when you stepped on campus. But what was your first practice welcome to Coach Self moment? Because we've all had it, like, where you think you're sitting there doing good or whatever. It's the day that he picks you. He's gonna figure out what you're made of that day. What was your first experience with that?
We were doing blockout break. It was in the summertime, and I turned it over, and I didn't run back on defense. I was like, damn, I turned it over. He was like, hold on. Are you serious? Are you serious? You're that soft. You're soft. He was just yelling at me, calling me a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I ain't know what to say, because I'm like, I'm used to like, hey, him being nice and stuff like that. So after I like locked in, I was kind of just like, oh shit, like I gotta lock in. But I had KJ tell me, he was just like, if you ever get on your ass, just like, just say yes, sir. Like, he's just looking on how are you gonna respond to this? So I feel like them, like him, like KJ, Kev, Wando, like they helped me in that situation for sure. Because I would have, just been quiet, but I'll be talking back now.
And Juan and KJ both, because KJ, you know how he is. Like, he's just strictly business. Like, he's business. Mm-hmm. He's just gonna shut up. He's gonna go do what he needs to do. And Juan's a quiet guy until you get to know him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Juan struggled with that a lot to start. Like, Coach Self, he did the same thing you did. He turned the ball over once or twice, and Coach Self would just absolutely obliterate him because you couldn't get a rise out of Juan. So Juan would get it worse. And so that is a good guy to like listen to and kind of have you guide, because it took him a while. Mitch, I think you can attest to this, because he was a red shirt the second semester of our senior year, our junior year. And yeah, Coach Self would like really, really get into him and pretty much just see like, hey, how far can I take this until Juan's like breaks? And there was a couple of times he did break a little bit, but he definitely improved a ton about it. And that's what made him great in these big moments. And I think there is always a silver lining to these things that are going on, because it always has a purpose. No matter what it is, if Coach Self comes to you after practice and is like, hey, man, I love the way you're playing. That has a purpose, not for tomorrow. It has a purpose for March 8th, when we're going to be in San Antonio playing in the second round or whatever it is.
No doubt, yeah. And that's something that I definitely noticed, like how calculated Coach is. Like, he's a super calculated dude. He moves with like reason with everything that he does. Like, super.
He'll get done with practice, and like you'll feel so down about yourself. Like, God, man, I couldn't make a shot today. Like, I couldn't do anything right. then Coach Self will come up to you and be like, "Yeah, you're trying so hard out there. Like you're such." And then like it'll change your like. I remember being in practice. Like I had a shit day, and Coach Self would come up to me like, just like walk by me in the hallway and be like, told me, "Yeah, you did so great today. Like you're trying so hard. I see it." And it would just change my entire like outlook on basketball in general. Like I think that's just something that he's so good at reading his players and understanding when people need a boost of confidence, when people need to hear something good. Like I think that's something special about him.
No doubt, yeah, for sure.
You obviously talked about DeJuan and KJ and how they took you under their wing. Who else is taking you under your wing to try to teach you the offense, to try to kind of go through, hey, this is how we play, this is how you need to be playing defensively? Because there obviously has been struggles throughout. Everyone has struggles in Coach Self's system. Who's been the biggest impact as a mentor for you at Kansas so far?
Biggest impact, I'll probably say on the court outside of KJ and Juan, I'll probably say Kev. Like Kev's been helping me a lot, with regards to defensively, where to be on the court and stuff like that. And then offensively, like telling me when like it's best for me to be aggressive, when it's best to be passive, move the ball and stuff like that. And how to read the defense off the ball screens and stuff like that. And then I say coaches, I'll probably say Coach Rob and Coach Dooley have helped me a lot. Getting shots up with Coach Dooley, and then him helping me through plays that are took me a little bit to get down or just understand also like defensive positioning and things like that. Little nuances of the game, I feel like they've helped me a lot.
Elmarko, coming into this season, we obviously there was some turmoil. You were supposed to be splitting minutes, and then you stepped into a bigger role. How have you taken that responsibility, and how have you flourished in your spot?
Just taking the responsibility with like a clear head. Can't get too high, can't get too low, and it just comes with like a lot more work. So I've just upped my work rate, outside of practice and stuff like that. And just like I just been focusing on individual days and stacking days, just being consistent. And I feel like that's helped me a lot, just, getting in extra work and just talking to the coaches more, asking more questions, being like a sponge, to just, just keep being like more comfortable within the offense and the defense and just like help contribute to, just winning basketball for real.
And obviously being the fifth man in that super loaded lineup, like how do you make sure you don't defer to those other guys and continue to be aggressive and continue to search for your own shots and make sure that you're not taking a backseat to anybody else?
Just, understanding who I am, like for real. I know I'm a really good scorer. Like I'm really quick. I could get downhill. I don't feel like there's a lot of people that could really stay in front of me one-on-one. So, just constantly, driving the basket and forcing help. The defense is going to have to make a choice on me as to help in and leave a shooter in the corner like Juan or Kev or Hunt, or, stay and help and I could get a layup, like I could finish layups. So, just understanding my game and where my spots are at, and being like decisive before I even get to that spot or, whatever the case may be.
And I love how you're already talking about Juan being a spot up shooter. I mean, he's shooting 50% from the three this year, which is he's leaps and bounds above what I expect him to do as a shooter. He's been absolutely going crazy. But there's also, you said you have a lot of confidence in people not being able to stay in front of you. But early on in the season, and I'm not trying to dog you by saying this, but there's a lot of things where you were more sped up than you were decisive. When did that kind of turn a switch in your head where like, hey, just being fast doesn't do anything for me. I have to be decisive in my moves. I have to make sure, hey, if I'm driving slot, I'm driving slot. I'm not going to sit there and go between the legs and try to do all that stuff. who kind of put that through your head, or what made you realize, hey, I just need to be decisive in what I do and have options outside of it? Don't overcomplicate things. You are a great athlete, very fast, get downhill very well, and have a lot to your bag. When did it become, hey, more of a decisive decision than it was like, hey, I just need to go make something happen?
I feel like that was really just, me talking to the coaches, understanding the offense more, and just talking to, people in my circle about like how college basketball really is. It's like, most teams, especially on a team where our roster is loaded, like why would, I get the opportunity, like if I haven't earned nothing to go one-on-one and boogie with a defender, like there's no point to do that. So most of the drives that I'm going to get are straight line drives where I could utilize my speed and force help and stuff like that. So I'd probably say like, just talking with people around me about how I could become more effective, more efficient with my movement, and just like, pretty much just less is more for real in this system. Yeah.
Elmarko, your first game in college was in one of the biggest arenas in college basketball, one of the biggest arenas in basketball in general, Madison Square Garden. What was that arena like, and what was that moment like for you?
It was really cool. It was like a crazy moment. Just being a little like starstruck. So, I was starstruck until the tip off, but after that, I kind of just locked in, and after a while, it just starts to feel like basketball, and yeah.
But as much as you say that, like that's the media answer, like, hey, I just locked in. I mean, like it does things to people. Like you look at Jay Will. Jay Will was a great basketball player. He was in the talk for National Player of the Year last year. And you watched what he did his first game in Madison Square Garden. It is something
jack up a shot and brick.
And brick, get taken out, turnover, reach and foul. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I mean that is something that, hey, like that's your welcome to Kansas moment. Like Madison Square may be the biggest stage just because it's Madison Square Garden, but that's not the biggest game. You've already played against UConn at home. You already played against Mizzou at home. You already played at Assembly Hall, which is arguably a top 5 place to play in college basketball. Was that kind of your welcome, being like, okay, hey, like, this is for real different, where I need to be put blinders on. I need to really sit there and be like, hey, like it just needs to be me against the people on the court, not worry about, hey, where we're playing, who's going to be in the crowd. Is it going to be the loudest fans in all of college basketball? Are we going to break the record tonight? It's kind of one of those things where what really like went through your head, where you're like, okay, hey, yeah, I need to stop worrying about that kind of stuff. It's obviously great, but it's not great if you don't win in those arenas.
No doubt. Yeah. I say just like being like close with the guys on the team before the game helps a lot. Cause it's just like, in the locker room when it's loud and stuff, you can hear the fans. It's like, that gets your blood pumping a little bit, gets you going. So, it's definitely jitters, especially coming from high school. Like my home court, like the biggest crowd we got was probably like 200 people. Like it wasn't nothing. So like going from like 200 people to that was definitely just like a shock. So it's like, in my head, I'm trying to visualize like all the stuff I did on that court and how I could try to transform it onto this court that I'm on now, and in like different ways, and like just trying to manifest different parts of the game and see it before it happens.
You'll never play in front of 200 people ever again. Like ever in your life. Like you'll never, unless COVID hits again somehow, and like I knock on wood on that one, I don't want that to ever happen again. You will never play in front of less than probably 6,000 people. It's
crazy too, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like now I'm not take it for granted, but like I'm kind of like becoming used to it, like walking out in Allen and it's like 16,000. Like even when we played Yale, like there's not many schools in a nation that pack their whole entire gym right before Christmas. Like, there's
maybe three. There's maybe three, and it's Assembly, it's Cameron, and it's Allen. Like Rupp's too big to like be able to fill it every single game. And Allen Fieldhouse, without a doubt. I watched you guys against Eastern Illinois. Like I was at the game. I sat up in the bleeds and everything. First time I've done that in forever. I felt felt very odd. But it was like it also gave me an appreciation, whereas like I was sitting there shoulder to shoulder with people on a game that meant nothing, and people were there just so excited to be in the Mecca, which is something that it's like, you can't take that for granted. I took it for granted a lot of the time, but now you come back to it and you'll come back. I mean, you look at CB, you look at all those guys that come back all the time. It's because they love the fact that it's like that. Like you'll never play, regardless if you go 1 year, 2 years, however long you go here, like this, you'll never play in an environment like this unless you're in the NBA finals.
No, it really is different. And to add to your point, that is another thing that made me like fall in love with Kansas. Just the energy that stadium has, for real. It's just different. Like walking in there like late night or even just with the coaches or something, like you just feel the energy. Like it's hard to explain, but you just feel it. Like it's something there that's different about like any other gym. Like
that building has soul.
Jay Billis said it best. I don't know. He did the little TikTok thing. He does it once a year, like the top 5 arenas. And he was talking about Cameron Indoor and Allen Fieldhouse. He was like, you go sit in there and like, it's like almost seeing ghosts. Like you just feel it. Like, I don't know what it is about it. You go sit there, regardless if there's one person in there or 16,000, like you sit there and you just like feel something. And it is true. Like when you go practice in there, like when you practice in the practice gym, there's not much pressure. Like I don't know what it is, but like you go practice in Allen, like it feels like there's a lot of pressure. And there's only the team in there. It's ridiculous.
That's why I love practicing Allen. Like the PG's good, but I love practicing in Allen. Like that's by far. Like if we can practice in Allen every day,
you know game day's coming whenever you're practicing in Allen. Like that's the coolest part.
No doubt.
Elmarko, what was your first Mizzou game like? Obviously, it's a home game, which is even crazier. What was Allen like, and how was that game?
Man, it was crazy. Just leading up to it, it was just super fun. Learning about like the rivalry and stuff like that. It was super fun. Like Coach showed us a video and stuff about the rivalry. I watched like a couple videos myself, like before the game, like 30 minutes before the game, like on my phone in the locker room. And that shit was getting me pumped up. I'm like, man, we about to smack these fools. Like, so just it was super fun. But I like the energy that we had, our fans had was great. But I like to go there and beat them on their own home court. I feel like that would be fun. How last year's team did it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and like that, it's one of those games. Like we played a national championship. Like we played in a couple of Final Fours. There's only probably 3 or 4 games in my lifetime or in my career at Kansas in 5 years that I like had a hard time sleeping before the game. And Mizzou, I think our freshman year, my freshman year, sophomore year, Mitch at Texas Tech for the Big 12 title. That was
crazy.
We played Villanova in the Final Four and the national championship. It's like those are games where you're sitting there. Whenever you think about the game, like you get giddy. Like it's like I don't know what it is. Like you said, it gets your blood pumping. You're just like I just want to smack them. Like I literally just want to go out there 50 ball. I want them to quit at halftime. Like it is something that's so special, and I know Coach Self does a fantastic job about it too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like leading up to the game, I think that was tied for me, one of like the loudest games that we've played in this year is UConn and Mizzou at home. It's just like it gets so loud. It's just like buzzing, like a blind noise. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't like.
Where you like your teammates can be talking to you and like you see their mouth moving, but like
you can't hear them.
You don't hear a damn thing they're saying. I remember sometimes like Coach would be like talking to us in the huddle, and like we're all huddled around, and like his face is literally like this far away from me, and like I'm still like
you like
hopefully somebody else on the team heard it and they could tell me when we get out there, but like I don't know what the hell he wants from me. Like Elmarko, obviously KU's only loss this year has been to Marquette, and during that game there was a little bit of a scuffle between them and us, their coaches, our coaches. Give us a little look into what happened there and what happened behind the scenes.
So, it's just a little bit of bad blood between, our coaching staff and their coaching staff and, a little bad blood between, just us in general. So, when our players hit a shot and their coach has said something to our players and, KT didn't like that, so he just told him, and in other words, don't talk to my player like that. So, they just got into it after that, and it's a lot of holding back. How athletes be competitors, just talking smack and stuff like that. So, yeah, we didn't appreciate that. So, just had to let them know.
I think obviously if we play Marquette again, they got something coming for them.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We're a way different team now than I think we were when we played against Marquette.
Yeah, and I think that might have been their best game of the season. The way they was like running stuff with their pace on offense, and they was awesome.
And obviously, that game being in Hawaii, like I don't think people truly understand. Like it does impact you, like flying across the ocean, getting used to being in a completely different atmosphere. Like there's something to be said for that. Like I think that's not the entire reason why we lost, but that can add to it. I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, everybody's legs was shot, but it is what it is. We'll see him later.
And it is a lot different when you're playing in Maui, when you're actually in a high school gym, because like the gym feels a lot smaller, so like your legs aren't going to be as shot. But I will say is like Marquette, they're probably one of our biggest weaknesses in they have 2 point guards that are fast, like really, really fast. And Hunter was having a hard time kind of getting up to level screen at that point, and the guards weren't really taking that into effect, being like, hey, we got to make sure we get over these screens. So I do think like the best thing that's happened to us was losing to Marquette in such a frustrating fashion. Obviously, blood boiled, all the things went over. But can you speak on kind of how it was a wake up call to you guys? Like, hey, we need to focus in, because since then we have played. Don't get me wrong, there's been some bad games mixed in there, but we have had just fantastic play where we've negated those issues on the defensive end.
Not for sure. I feel like the Marquette game was a great wake-up call for us, because at that time, pretty sure we were still number 1 ranked, and, we just had like we just like, we were a little bit too confident. Like, we're confident in how we are. Like, we're good. But I feel like we were just too confident in thinking we were going to like steamroll them or they were going to roll over or nothing. So I felt like that was a good game for us to, understand that we got to, throw the punch first, and every team that's going to play us is going to give us their all. So just being ready for that. And defensively, it was a great game to show us that, we could get a lot better. I feel like since then we've got a lot better.
Elmarko, we talked about this a little bit behind the scenes. What has been your experience with how passionate KU fans are? Have you seen anything else like this?
Not even close. Not even close.
Do you have any good stories about that? We've asked a couple of the other guys that have come on here, and they gave us some pretty interesting stories about how passionate KU fans can be.
I would say when I had just committed and I came for late night last year, I was like walking through the tunnel, like I was surprised like people even knew who I was. But that's just how like passionate the fans are. Like I'm walking out, it's like, Elmarko, can you sign your name on my forearm? I'm like, what the? All right, sign it on the forearm. Like, in the summertime, like we're working out and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure Grady came back, and it was just like a heap of kids like outside McCarthy trying to get in, just like looking, like seeing what we're doing, like yo, like is Hunter in there? Is Grady in there? Like when you guys come out, like we gotta get a team photo, like I need it for my mom, like that stuff, or like I know people whose dogs are like named after Coach Self.
Yeah, like that's wild.
Like Coach Self, yeah. Shoot, I know it's like y'all probably know, just like the walk over to Allen, there'll be people there like trying to have stuff signed before the games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different than it was when we were there. Like when we were there, we weren't. I mean, except for our last year, we weren't getting paid for anything. So like those people would stop us, you'd have to sign. And then it came to a point where it was like you go over there and you're like, hey, it's $200 a signature. Has that kind of helped you kind of like negate?
Like, hey, sorry, I can't sign everything.
No, I mean, like if I see somebody, like I'll sign their stuff. I'm not gonna turn them down, because it's just like I know how passionate they are, and I know like having them in the stands or before the game, seeing them, like that just helps me like go even harder because I just know how passionate they are and how much they give into it, of the stuff that we produce. So, if I don't have time to, like, yeah, I mean, I don't think I've turned down a signature or nothing.
Do you have you ever seen like the people that are selling it, like where they trying to sign a bunch of like sign all these blank autograph balls that
that's more of what I meant because we would have to sign the dudes' balls, and so like it was I know what you're talking about, but like those dudes, it'd be like, hey, like when we got to NIL, it was like 200, and they'd be like, well, I don't have any money. It's like, well, you're gonna take this and sell it for 500, so like why I'm not gonna get anything back? Like I'm not gonna do it.
But it's kind of crazy because like when NIL like first started and like we were able to like actually like make money off that, like there was guys that were doing it legally, like signing autographs and making money for it that we had never seen before. Like we didn't even know we had no idea what the rule, not the rules, but we had no idea that stuff was that profitable.
Yeah. Nah, actually, we're talking about that, like the dudes that be selling it. We like at this point we kind of like know which people are like selling it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's like they'll try and trick us and like send like a little kid out, be like, "Can I get this autograph?" And it's just like I want to, but it's like I can't because I know you about to sell it.
Yeah, and, like it's funny because I know exactly what you're talking about. When they send up the little kid and then the kid comes back like 10 minutes later and he's got 3 more brand new.
I'm like what are you like? I just seen you. Like I just seen you. So it's like, come on, nah. Yeah.
And those dudes have been there forever. Like my brother Connor played from 2008 to 2012. And there'd be a couple of times where like he would be like, "Hey, can I come see McCarthy? Can I come hang out after a game?" And we'd be walking back, and he'd be like, he'd know exactly who the dude was. He know the guy's name, everything. It was like they've been doing that forever, and I'm sure they make a good amount of money on it. But now it's like it's just not like if you're not going to pay me a little bit of the profit, I'm not gonna be doing it.
Elmarko, speaking of autographs, what's the craziest thing you've ever autographed? You've had to autograph?
Man, probably like a kid's forehead at this camp. That's the craziest thing.
A kid's forehead? What the heck?
Yeah, because we was talking like I don't even know how we got to it. He was like, "You got a nickname?" And I'm like, "Yeah, some people call me Salsa." So he was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Like I got a Mexican restaurant. Write salsa on my forehead." So I wrote it kind of small because I'm like, oh man, I can't have him go home and his mom see his head and just say salsa. So yeah, probably that, like just writing salsa on some kids' forehead.
I mean, that's how those little kids camps went. When we would go do the summer camps, you would never know what was coming to the line next. I mean, there was one point I signed like an iron, like like an iron that you like get the wrinkles out of clothes on. Like you'd sign toasters, you would sign just about anything you could possibly think of.
Coconut. Signed a coconut before.
Yeah. Dude, I signed. Man, some kid had me sign like a pen, like a thick pen. Like. I'm like, what the?
What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, like, I'm just like, what? But, dude, some kid it was at Rock Chalk, the Jayhawk Club field. Or,
yeah, Rock Chalk Park.
Rock Chalk Park, yeah. Some kid asked Coach Self to, like, sign his dollar bill. Coach Self was like, I don't know about that. You got anything else? He's like, here's my shoe, and like he like tried to bend his leg up to like have coach sign. He was like, I can't get that. You're gonna have to take it off.
Yeah.
That happened all the time with those summer camps. They would ask you to sign stuff and be like, "Hey, sign my shoe," and they would never take it off. It's like the last thing you want to do is be like, "Hey, like." Put your foot up here, like let me do that, and like then they're taking it off like, for an hour and a half in this sweaty ass shoe, and they're like, "Hey, sign this right here." I'm just grabbing literally a waterlogged shoe and be like, all right, I'll sign it real quick. Like, you don't want my signature anyways. I don't know why you're asking me.
Elmarko, headed into Big 12 play, obviously we've had our fun in the non-con. We've played some pretty big games. We came out of that pretty successful. We're headed into some of the most important times of the year. We're going to play the Big 12 conference. What is the vibe around the team? What is the vibe around Coach Self? How are you guys treating this?
Like you said, it's been fun, like that first season, but this is like where the real work begins, everybody's just been more locked in, holding each other more accountable, and just like more about business. I know, like me personally, like I talked with Coach about it, like I'm not a freshman anymore. Like the mistakes that I made in the past, I can't make them anymore, and I'm excited to just continue to learn and grow and just get better, because I feel like each day we get better, we compete, and I feel like with the group of guys that we got, like we could really go far. Like I don't think there's a lot of teams, when we're playing our A game that could stay with us.
What's the one thing
looking at the Big 12, and the Big 12 is, in my opinion, and like just based on a lot of basketball, people who watch a ton of basketball, the best basketball conference in America. And this year is just as good as it's been. I mean, you have guys who were projected to finish in the bottom half of the league, Oklahoma, who are now ranked 11 in the league. And it's a very guard heavy. It's a very Baylor-esque. They've really changed the game when it comes to the way that the Big 12 plays. And Oklahoma has a bunch of different wings. So what have you guys kind of done lately to kind of change the way you play, to kind of negate the way that they play downhill, trying to get off ball screens, trying to make people help and then play off of that? Has there really any kind of adjustments over this last week and a half of practice, knowing that we're going into a very guard and wing heavy Big 12 this year?
I say the major thing is our transition defense, making sure we get all five guys back after a shot, especially with the team that we're about to play, TCU. Like they get most of their buckets or at least 25 a game in transition. So transition defense with them and everybody else in the league, because everybody, like you said, is fast, athletic wings and guards. And other than that, I'd probably say like guarding ball screens as well. Just being like more aggressive on the hedge, just a one bounce get back, just so we can try and negate, roll into the basket, and also the weak side low man, bumping high as possible, and if we can X out for the top man on that weak side, that'll help a lot.
And that's a huge thing. I mean, like, that's kind of what we practice. There's going to be a lot of stress on you, Juan, and Kevin. And I mean, you also have to throw KJ in there. I know you guys are still running 41 where you're not switching with Hunter at all. So kind of like, have you guys prepared for that, where it's like, hey, I got to start getting over these screens? Like, if I'm downing them, I'm making sure that I'm downing them when there's no gap in there. So has that put a lot of stress on you as a player, and just like kind of going through practice?
I mean, I say not really, because I feel like we just work on it a lot in practice. Before we do a lot of like our defensive stuff, we do ball screen drills where we have to get over on the down and stuff like that. So just trying to build like that movement into like our muscle memory, so we just in game it just comes second nature, to the point where it's just like, all right, bet, like they could have got a roll, but we worked so much on this. Like I got over, put my hands up, denied the pass from even happening, and that just like slows down their whole offense. And yeah, I feel like that's what just happens with like most of our like intangibles in the game. Like we just work on it so much to the point where it's just second nature, and like I feel like that's what helps us win games a lot.
If you look online on Twitter in specific, a lot of people are questioning where we're going to get our bench production. How confident are you in the guys that are coming off the bench that they're going to produce and they're going to come through for us and allow us to make a deep run into March?
I'm super confident. Nick is a terrific shooter. He just hasn't showed it consistently yet. But when Nick gets hot, Nick is the best collegiate shooter I've got to see. Yeah, no, he when he could get hot, man, he's different. So
And he's showing that in practice?
oh yeah, he's shown that in practice. So
That's something that I think a lot of fans need to understand is that dude can really shoot.
yeah,
And when that light clicks on in the game, like it's gonna
over.
change the entire fabric of our team. It's gonna give us another weapon that other teams haven't seen.
Man, and it's just like Nick is also just more than a shooter too. Like he's athletic. He could get downhill. He could dunk the ball. So I feel like once he just gets his feet under him, it's going to be wraps. Especially now that we're going into Big 12 play and the games are closer and just more opportunity. I feel like he'll be lights out for us than Johnny. I feel like me and Johnny just been, on an upwards trend recently. So, I feel like, we'll be good. And then Mari is just so consistent when he gets in the game. Rarely a mistake. He can knock down a three. Defensively super solid. And, he just learns. He's like a sponge like me and just learns each and every day. And he's not scared at all of like a big moment at all. So
you've seen that with Mari a ton this year. I mean, I watched the Eastern Illinois game. This is a BS game. Like this is a game like you don't even really think about. And he's out there getting an offensive rebound, looking at the bench flexing. But I think that you look at Johnny, you look at Nick, and they're two guys that have not gotten the opportunity that you have. But they're also having the same problem you had early in the year. They don't trust their feet. And I mean, Johnny's doing a better job. Nick hasn't done a great of a job. When he's getting the shots that are open looks, he's kind of rushing them. Who's kind of tried to hey, this is kind of how it's going? I've noticed that it has been lately. He doesn't seem as rushed. But is there a collective effort knowing that, hey, dude, just be confident in yourself and be confident in the level of play? Because he fits our system very, very well. And we've had a lot of white shooters in the past that aren't nearly as athletic who have been able to fill that position. And I don't think Nick is a non-athletic guy. So what has kind of been I wouldn't say the aura around the team, but what have you guys been doing to kind of get him out of the slump so where he trusts himself to be a Kansas basketball player, putting in a ton of work and putting in a ton of minutes because he's a huge part of our team. I mean, Mitch, I think you'll agree. If Nick Timberlake starts playing very well and shoots 40% from the field, he can guard his man and not make those little mistakes. I mean, we don't lose that Marquette game. We don't play as close to Mizzou. We don't play as close to Indiana. There's a big thing. He's a huge piece of it without taking minutes from you or taking minutes from anybody else. But who has kind of brought him to be hey, just calm down, let the game come to you, play defense first, and then after that, then you can shoot your threes and kind of worry about that.
I feel like, all of us as a collective group, we just talked to him in practice. And, I know Coach Dooley and them, they talked to him. When it comes to game time, just, understanding that defensively, just focus on the defense side first because all the offense will just come to you within the flow of the game. And, just take a little bit of pressure off himself. He's his harshest critic. So, just having being less, put less pressure on himself pretty much. Because, if you miss one shot, it's not the end of the world. We know you're a shooter. Just keep shooting it. Once one falls in, we'll know the next 5 or 6 are cash. So that's what I've been saying to him. And defensively, just staying solid and just challenging, himself to, guard super good in practice. Yeah, and just trust yourself. Yeah,
for sure.
All right, Elmarko, thank you so much for coming on today. I think this will be great for the fans to hear about a little bit of an inside story on our team. I know a lot of people have concerns, even though we're the second-ranked team in the country. We've only lost one game this year. I think it's whatever, besides the point. Elmarko, thank you so much for coming on. This is another episode of Rock Chalk Unplugged. From Chris Teahan and Mitch Lightfoot, thank you guys. Rock Chalk.
Thank you. Rock Chalk.